everyone, welcome back to Planet Coaster and welcome back to Summer Heights. As you can see, we're now Coastical Gaming, just changed the name slightly there for obvious reasons really. We're a gaming channel now, aren't we? Well, we always have been, but that's what I want to be known as now. And we're continuing with work on the Shark Attack themed launch coaster. And I got absolutely carried away and went crazy with this one, as you can probably see by the thumbnail for the video. We've done some crazy custom scenery, theming, whatever you want to call it, and I've even thought up a bit of a storyline for this coaster, which I never normally do, but I got really into this build and I'm really enjoying working on this park actually now. So the first thing we work on here is just a tunnel for the launch section of the coaster, using quite a lot of TMTK pieces for this. They're just a sort of steampunk pieces of metal. We're not using, it's not a steampunk theme at all, we're just using them to make a round circular tunnel really, which works for a launch. I've put lots of lighting on, so this will really come alive at night. As you can see there, it works quite nicely. Getting these lights to go in a perfect circle was actually a real pain. That took quite some doing in the end. For some reason they just didn't want to align to the grid, not the grid, but they didn't want to do the dome technique for some reason, I don't know why. But we get them in the end, and then I put in some pipes as well. But these end up getting removed later on in the episode, or I might have even done it actually afterwards off screen, off camera or whatever. But they're not all there anymore. Some of them are, but the ones really close to the track are just too close to the track, so we have to remove them. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this section. We just add some wires and stuff in there as well. So basically the storyline that I've sort of gone for with this coaster and the whole pre-show idea is that we're in a Fisherman's Wharf type pier area, which we're calling Pier 39. You go through a screen at the start, which for some reason, I don't know why, but it's just not giving me the... I'm using, is it the Studios Pack screen where you can put your own picture on it? It's just not coming up every time. You have to click onto it and click the little green button next to it to get it to show up for some reason, but whatever. You go through there and then you're going through the old sort of backstage area of this old shipyard. So there's all the wooden stuff and then the pipes of water spurting out, old fishing boats and old fishing props and nets and stuff like that everywhere. And then this sort of almost tour, if you like, has taken you out to this backstage sort of building site area, I guess, sort of right behind the docks where nobody normally goes. And we've got all this machinery, which is the main sort of thing we're building in this episode. And this machinery is chucking out pollution into the water, which you'll see, so it's turning the water dirty, and obviously there's all these sharks swimming around quite close to shore and they're not happy about it, so the sharks start jumping out at you, and that's when you go into the launch and you spend the whole time sort of running away from the sharks, I guess is the idea. It's a very loose storyline, it's not the best, you know, we don't condone animal cruelty in any way. But that's the thing. If this were a real ride, I'm sort of getting the idea that in the sort of, you know, where there's a gift shop type thing at the end of the ride, maybe just before that you'd have a sort of conservation show, like what you'd normally see at a zoo or somewhere like SeaWorld, where they tell you about you know, climate change and what we can do to help stop you know, the animals going extinct basically. You know what type of thing I mean. And that could be part of the whole storyline for this ride, but maybe I'm just getting a bit too in depth there. Maybe it's just a coaster with some machines and some sharks, I don't know. But yeah, I probably mentioned it before, but obviously this is called Shark Attack now rather than just Shark. And yeah, I think the whole theme and storyline comes together pretty well. And I just sort of thought of all that really whilst I was building this section. I thought, how can we all tie it in together? Obviously the coaster takes quite a detour as well. It's quite a sprawled out coaster. It has several different sections where it goes, which the length of it actually causes me some real dramas later on in the episode, which you'll see. But yeah, for now it's just a case of trying to build this great big machine. I don't know what the machine would actually be for really, but all I know is it's chucking out pollution into the water, and all I know is this took a very, very long time to build, hence the fact that this video, you know, we haven't had a Planet Coaster video for quite some time on the channel, or any video really. So yeah, this is what's been taking the time, and to be honest, I completed this quite a while ago. I just haven't got around to doing the commentary. But sidetracking a bit there, getting a bit off topic, the machine itself is mainly made from the basic shapes and the sci-fi pack items, like scenery items recoloured. This is probably the biggest piece of custom scenery I've ever built in Planet Coaster, and it's something I'm pretty proud of. To be honest, not gonna lie, I'm quite happy with how this turned out. Like I say, it was a good few hours work. I did have a reference image. I just basically searched for boating, shipping, machinery or something like that, and I just saw this massive big backstage piece of machinery. It's actually for sale. I can't remember the website. I don't think it was Amazon or eBay or anything, but it was literally this piece of machinery for sale for about 80 grand, and I thought, that looks super cool. If we could make something looking like that in the game, then I think it'd be really cool. So we go for the similar sort of colours to the reference image I was looking at. I have no idea where I found the image now, so I'm not really going to be able to share it on screen, I'm afraid. Probably on the black market or something. It's probably a right dodgy bit of kit, but it just has so many pipes and wires and little details on it that I thought, right, let's get stuck in, see what we can do here. I'm also using a few TMTK pieces as well for this again, but we try and keep it mainly with the in-game stuff. In future I don't really want to use too much from TMTK, just because it can slow the game down as well, and you know, there's already a hell of a lot of pieces in this park, so the performance, you know, might not be the best, but for the time being it's okay. We're still getting around 30 FPS most of the time, which is pretty good for my computer, to be honest. When this park's complete, who knows, maybe I'll get someone to showcase it for me or something, because this series doesn't get that many views anyway. But that's, you know, that's a long time down the line now. Again, getting a bit sidetracked there, so going back to the build, I've sort of used these fences as pipe pieces, and this is something that I've got really used to doing now in Planet Coaster, using scenery pieces for things they weren't intended for. And now, sort of after I built this huge big bit of machinery, I look back on my first Planet Coaster series, which was called Worlds of Adventure, or no, what was it called? Fantastic Worlds it was called, and I just think everything I did in that was so generic. Obviously I was learning the game, and I think a lot of people probably did that. They just thought, right, we'll use the pirate pieces for the pirate theme, and we'll just build a big pirate ship, and all the rest of it, and the sci-fi pieces, we'll just stick them in as they're intended. But now I look back and I'm pretty ashamed of that part, really, because it didn't use much imagination. It just sort of did generic themes that have probably been done a million times before, a lot better. Whereas now I'm thinking outside the box and I'm thinking, I want to build this. Which pieces could I use to build it? And I think that's a much better way to get creative with this game. I'd have never been able to come up with this before. So yeah, you can really see how it's coming together now. We've got lots of big tanks and pipes and everything like that. So sci-fi pieces just look so good when they're recoloured. You can't even tell that they're sci-fi pieces. They just slide into other pieces and just give that perfect sort of machinery, factory, industrial type effects that we're going for. And yeah, it's it really is something here. I just thought we'll build this and that will be it. But then the mentality of me being too concerned about the little details, I thought, right, no, if you're on the left hand side of the coaster train, you're not going to see this as well. So we're going to have to build something like this on the other side. But I didn't want to just clone it. So we build another similar version of it. We copy some bits across, but a lot of it is just the same thing there. Also, you can see there I put in some of the sci-fi grills and just covered them over with some sort of pillar pieces or whatever, just to make them fit in with the colour, so it looks like you've got a grill inside there. Added a couple of lighting up lights, I guess, above it, just the red ones there that sort of shine. So we add lots of light into this anyway. It looks good in the dark as well. And then I decided, probably at the time, I'll call it a night for this build now, and continued another day, but working on something else, which you'll now see us cut to after we had the lighting in there. And then I decide, I've lost my mind completely, I'm going to do the 4 meter trick on this coaster. So yeah, it's the first time I've done this with a coaster, and it's quite a long layout. So yeah, this took a good solid afternoon. Obviously I've heavily cut down the footage because you don't want to see someone literally just smoothing out track over and over again, but it really does work quite nicely. It's not the best of layouts anyway. Obviously I completely reprofiled the layout so that it would work with the 4 meter trick, but it's an awful lot better than what it was before. It rides pretty smoothly now. There's a couple of sections that don't get done, like anything before the launch, because it doesn't need doing, and the section where there's a sort of fly through the queue line building later on in the episode, because if I started messing about with that track I'd never get it back in, just because of all the things there. And even though I've taken collision off, it's still a bit funny about pathing, and there's lots of paths there, so I really didn't want to mess about with that. But yeah, other than that, like you can see, redoing the track here, 4 meter length, and then I obviously go back and smooth it. Like, people aren't exaggerating when they say how long this takes. I'm sure you'll know yourself if you've built a coaster doing this trick. It's all fun and games. But yeah, I thought, we're doing this build properly. There's no rush, there's no deadline for it or anything like that. So might as well do it properly, you know. This is a section here where I sort of decided against the redoing the track, because I just thought, yeah, we're never going to get it back in. So I think I started doing it, and then I just Control Z, undo until it's went back to normal. And possibly the same there underneath that bit of pathing. Pathing in the game sort of takes priority a lot of the times. If I've got a bath in the right place and it works, then I do not want to remove it, because it's very hard to get it back in place. And yeah, other than that, really, we do some support work on the track, getting all the supports in place there, which is a bit of a pain, but I didn't really need to do that many. Obviously, when you do the 4 meter rule, it puts supports on every single piece of track, so it looks a bit ridiculous. But I went through and then individually cut out the ones I didn't want, and then the spaces that it left without supports in certain areas, I just added custom ones in. But we're not going to do complete custom supports because I don't think they're really that bad for this coaster anyway. In terms of realism, maybe it would have looked better entirely custom supported, and that's something I might consider doing for coasters in the future if I feel that they need it, but most of the time I prefer not to be honest, because it's not the most fun thing to do either, really. It's not the most enjoyable part of the game, and it's not really that fun to watch either, so that's why I cut a lot of that footage out as well. But yeah, in total I'd say I've probably added 10 supports in tops. Back working on the machine again here then, and the other side of it, like I said, I've already got some pieces in already there, and a new idea come to my head which gave the whole concept a completely different lease of life, like a new lease of life, and made it take twice as long to do. I don't know why I decided to do this. Obviously I lost my mind quite a bit while I was doing this build actually, hence why it took so long. But I decided that we could have a load of cool fans cooling down these machine parts. So I thought we'll do these with these sort of belt wheel things and we'll just block them in. But it took me ages to find a piece that would work perfectly for that. We got somewhere near, but it wasn't quite right. So what I went back to do is just the circular dome trick, whatever it's called, with custom shapes. So that's what we go for in the end. I used a big, huge tennis racket to go in between the fan and the inside to make it really look like a fan. Now I'm thinking I should have a bit of mist coming out of there. I definitely need to do more triggerable effects and stuff on this area, on this part of the coaster. We have got a few in there, but yeah, it might be something I need to go back and look at later on. But yeah, we box all these in, and once that sort of starts taking shape, it really starts looking a lot better. And then it's just a case of copying a lot of stuff from the other one over, like the pipes and boilers and stuff, and just putting them in different positions. There we go, that's the circle that we use in the end for the what we call in them, the fans. What are they? And I think that I had a couple of different colours mixed in here for some reason, so I do end up changing that so it's all the one sort of colour, this dark greeny turquoisey colour that we go for. And yeah, other than that really it's just a lot of work on the pipes and machines themselves for the rest of this episode. I have gone back since I built this and put some backstage work, backstage areas in behind the coaster and everything, so most of that's complete now. And yeah, I think in the next episode I'm going to take a break from this area of the park and work on a restaurant to go near the front of the park, although I'm not entirely sure yet. I just sort of feel like I need a break from this theming for a bit. so we can do that and then come back to it. But this, I'd say it's probably one more episode to complete this area of the park. Obviously the rest of the coaster layout is just a bit bland, going over the just the terrain really. So if we put some water, some rocks and some foliage in there, I think it'll look a lot better. And then we need sort of an area that guests can walk around with a few shops and maybe a couple of flat rides to the left of all this. So that will go in next time that we work on this area, I guess. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for today's video. As always, thank you very much for watching, for your likes and comments as well. I do really appreciate them, and hopefully see you in the next one then. Bye bye.